air traffic controllers protect our nation's airways to boldly deliver a safe, orderly, and expeditious flow of air traffic from their departure point to their final destination.
I never wanted to be an air traffic controller. I had no designs on it in my life of being I said, why would I want to do that job? But anyway, I'm in Atlanta. I'm gotten out of the military in the year is 1973, and it's March, and I'm sitting on Delta's doorstep every day. I'm going down there applying for a pilot job to fly airplanes for Delta. And, well, we aren't hiring right now. We aren't hiring today. I'd go back the next day. I mean, every day for about a week, me and a buddy up there. And I said, they got a civil service office up here. Maybe we go check down there for any flying jobs, because they had a thing you get in flying with a guard or something like that in different spots of the country. And I said, yeah, let's go do that. So we get up in there, and they said, well, they got this place in Ellington. They're flying down there. And then they said, well, now, Jacksonville, they've got a waiting list down there, about 50 people. And I said, ooh, okay, I don't want that one. And so I'm looking at that, and the guy said, you ought to take a look at this. And he hands me a brochure. It's air traffic control. And I said, well, why would I not want to do that? He said, looky here. He said, you don't have anything right now, do you? And I said, no. And he said, you get to take the test at the post office right there where you live in Pensacola. And he said, it doesn't cost you a dime. And he said, you can either take the job or leave it. Just take the test and see what happens. Well, I took the test. I got my 10-point veterans preference, so I had 107 points on the test or whatever it was. And spending Christmas, I guess, over in Houston with my relatives. Phone call, and they said, well, you get offered a job. And I said, really? And they said, well, Southern region, you want to go to Miami, you want to go to Atlanta, or Jacksonville? And I said, did so-and-so, did you talk to him? And he said, yeah, I just got off the phone with him. And I said, where's he going? She said, Jacksonville. And I said, I'll take Jacksonville. So I ended up at Jacksonville Center with my good buddy. We check in on January 3rd of 1974. And I still wanted to fly. Burnett started hiring. A couple of my friends got on with him. I went to Dallas, took an interview with Burnett, and I got hired by Burnett. So I came back, I resigned from the FAA, didn't burn any bridges, and I went to work for Burnett for 2.5 years, 727s. I had 1,600 out of 2,400. I thought I was pretty solid on seniority list, but that doesn't make any difference when the airline's going bankrupt. Mm-hmm. So I'm out on the street, and I see that handwriting on the wall. I said, it's not going to be too long. So a good friend of mine, there used to be a publication called FAA World. And a friend of mine in Jacksonville wrote that column for many years, and he knew a lot of people. So I called Paul, and I said, hey, Paul, I said, do you still know a lot? Oh, yeah. I said, well, I think I'm fixing to get put on the street here by Burnett. And I said, I may look at coming back in the FAA. And he said, well, I got a friend of mine in Miami that you can go see, and I got another one in Dallas. And so I don't know why I went to Miami, but it was the chief of Miami Center who I went to see, and he said, oh, yeah. And I said, well, Paul's got me set up with so-and-so, and he said, oh, yeah, you need to go see him too. I had no idea what to talk about, so then I go to Dallas and actually rent a car and drive over to the regional office, and I said, I'm here to see so-and-so, and they said, oh, that away. And so I go, and a lady at the desk, and I said, well, I want to see so-and-so, and they're done. I said, supposedly I have an appointment set up. And she said, yes, I'll go right here. And she opened another door, and there's another lady in there, another secretary, and I'm thinking, who in the heck am I going to go see anyway? Well, it was the director of the Southwest region.
Tex Malugian?
Whoever it was at the time, I have no idea. And I tell him, I said, look, I work for Burnett, I am getting laid off, and I'm looking to get back in the FAA. And he said, well, we call that reinstatement. And he said, just a second. He calls up and he said, oh, so, yeah. So another lady comes in, he said, I'm going to send you down to the air traffic manager down there. So it would have been whoever the region director of air traffic was at the time. And he said, yeah. And he said, how's Paul doing anyway? And I said, oh, Paul's doing great, this and that. And we talked about it. And he said, well, good. And he said, Paul tells me, as Murray would say, one of the good guys. He said, we need to get you back in really quick. He said, new fiscal year starts here in October, and we'll see if we can work you out. Where do you want to be, in Houston? I said, yes, sir. And he said, hey, Margie, send in, I can't remember his name. Anyway, Mike, send Mike in here. And the specialist comes in, and he said, Mike Thompson. He said, Stan Jorgensen. I said, oh, how you doing, Mike? He said, Mike, I want you to do all the paperwork, send it down to Houston. We need to get him into Houston first thing October. Well, I just thought that was kind of funny, because here's this guy down here, Mike Thompson guy, you know.
Yeah.
Well, Mike ends up being the deputy and the lead chief and everything. That later on, I thought that's pretty amazing how that worked out. So that's how I got into Houston, and so that it all kind of turned out. Went to New Orleans specialty, and I just think it's amazing that my instructor was a guy named Jim Burnett.
No, I'm okay.
And Jim and I talked. He was a helicopter pilot, flew Hueys, and he was in Vietnam, same time I was pretty much. He was down south. And Jim and I talked, but never fully talked about the experiences that we had. I think we both had pretty much repressed them back in our memory bank and not to be retrieved. But anyway, when I went to Jim's funeral and I saw the medals that he had, I knew he was a pretty special guy.
Jim Burnett.
Jim Burnett, yeah. Yep. He went through stuff that, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I realized where he was coming from, the same place I was probably coming from at that time. So I gained a new respect. But I read my hometown newspaper where I grew up in northwest Iowa, and 900 people. And somebody will pass away, and I'll look at the obituary, and I'll say, gee, Merry Christmas, I didn't know this person did that. Well, it's like Burnett. I didn't know Burnett did all of this stuff. And so there's a lot of things that each one of us have friends that we associate with that you have no idea of what may have happened in their previous life, which is why we're thrown into, when we all got to be controllers, is a big melting pot of different personalities, different backgrounds, and it all blended into one thing, and that's an air traffic controller. So it's just amazing. I wish now that I would have delved more into people's backgrounds that I work with when I was working. Yeah. And I've told this to Jerry many times. I don't miss, a lot of guys when they take their last day of working, they said, well, you want to sit at the console and take one last thing and talk to one last airplane? I said, no. I said, I'm not going to miss that. But I said, I'm going to miss all of you.
People.
I'm going to miss all of you.
Yeah.
And I still hold true to that. That's I've never missed a job. I appreciated the opportunities that it gave me and the life during and after working there that it's provided me for me and my family. So my son's doing it now, which is ironic. He had no interest in doing it till I drug him out there, and he saw the computers, and it was a Windows-based system on different platforms, and that's what kind of drug him into it, because he's kind of a geek about computers. So anyway, it's been a very rewarding thing for me.